Hi, everyone. Welcome. We're going to give it just a few minutes to let anyone else join us that might be hopping on, and then we will go ahead and get started. All right, we will go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the June Advisory Council meeting. I want to give a special thanks to our ACH members, all of our partners, members of the public who are joining us at this meeting today. I'm going to start off with a land acknowledgement and a mission moment. The Anchorage Coalition to End Homelessness and the Homelessness Prevention and Response System Advisory Council would like to acknowledge that we gather today on the traditional lands of the Dena'ina Athabascans. For thousands of years, the Dena'ina have been and continue to be the stewards of this land. It is with gratefulness and respect that we recognize the contributions, innovations, and contemporary perspectives of the Upper Cook Inlet Dena'ina. I don't have any pictures for today's mission moment, but I wanted to share today just how excited I was to participate a few weeks ago in the community engagement event held at the Sullivan Arena, hosted by 99+1. It was held on June 8th and June 9th. They set up tables. It was outside on the first day, inside on the second day, and invited all of the community partners to come and share the information they might have in order to help people who are transitioning out of the Sullivan Arena, as well as people who had left the Sullivan Arena and been unable to return because of the stop on the intakes that went into effect on June 1st. And it was so wonderful to see everyone coming together and really swarming for everyone that is experiencing homelessness right now and has a lot of uncertainty in their life. And I saw some wonderful connections for bus passes. Children's Lunchbox was there with some meal service. There was coffee and donuts hosted by a few members of the Hand Commission. It was really wonderful to see people come together and get people set up in coordinated entry if they were not already in coordinated entry, and allow our outreach staff to be able to make connections with people that they might have lost. So I just wanted to highlight that and just share a huge thank you to everyone who participated, and really just highlight everything we do when we come together. For general updates, I hope everyone who is on was able to join us this morning at our all COC meeting. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail in terms of what we shared at that meeting. I don't want to rehash a lot of the information, but I did want to highlight some potential areas where people can be more engaged. So I wanted to call attention to the system map that is being updated every few days and sent out by the coalition communication staff. This is a document that is posted on their website that is tracking all of our shelter, transitional housing, and permanent housing resources that are in our system with their current capacity, any vacancies they might have, and any eligibility restrictions that might exist for that property or that program. So if you are not already receiving that information, you can find it on the coalition website, and you can also just let us know and we'll get you added to that email distribution list so that you are getting them. If you are a partner that has resources available that you want to add to that map, please reach out and let us know. And if you're a partner that has resources listed on that system map and have updates to be made, please make sure to email and let us know so we can always have the most up-to-date information on that system map. I also wanted to share that we will be launching a membership drive to recruit people to be part of the homeless prevention and response system and the community that receives all of that information. And also that the deadline for applying to have a seat on the advisory council has been extended. So we will be accepting applications until July 8th. If you would like to submit an application, they are on the coalition website, or you can send an email and we will get a copy of that to you so that you can get that submitted for consideration. And the last thing I wanted to share that I shared information about this morning as well is that there is a new NOFO coming out from HUD. It was just released yesterday, and it will be a collaborative applicant continuum of care application that is focused on resources for unsheltered homelessness. So watch your emails, watch the coalition social media and website for more information as the timeline is developed for that application process. And the full application is due this fall. Make sure that Meg was able to hop back on. I will hand off to Meg for the coalition update.
Hi, Jessica. This is Taria with the Anchorage Coalition. Meg did have to jump off as there is a fire in her area, and just making sure that she was able to address those needs. So you've already really covered what happened this morning, and we wanted to make sure we kind of address those things. The only thing I will add from ACH's side would be that we are working in a great effort towards robust outreach and listening to what is going on through our outreach workers as far as the necessity for utilizing fire extinguishers, the need for food that can't be cooked, doesn't need to be cooked with heat, looking at doing, of course, still doing the hot weather kind of drive and putting that out there for sunscreen and bug spray, water, and those things that those who are unsheltered might need. And then, of course, working on with the philanthropy and also a couple of great, wonderful donations in the community to kick off our food distribution sites that will start next week on Tuesday and Thursday. And so more information will be coming, but those sites have been identified. We're really thankful to the faith community for Shiloh Missionary Baptist Church and First Presbyterian. That will be the sites where food will be distributed by outreach workers. And then hoping to layer on services so that those who are unsheltered, as we know they have no place that we have been able to identify to go, will be able to access hopefully their case manager or even to touch base and say where they're at, so someone can come and see them and provide whatever they need at that moment. As far as the facilitation updates, I think everyone received the letter that facilitation has ended their agreement, and at this moment that group is no longer working together. But the fight still continues, and the 5 planks are still there. And we still continue, as you've heard us say numerous times, do not have the answers to things such as where is the shelter availability as far as camp abatement goes. Camp abatement is still continuing to happen. And I believe someone will probably talk later about the 5 new camps that we know of that were posted for abatement. I don't believe we have any ACH operational updates. So other than that, Jessica, please fill in where you think I made a hole.
Thanks, Tria. No, I think you covered it well. The one thing I would highlight as well is that, as Tria mentioned, there is a plan to begin having regular, I was calling them pop-ups, that are going to be able to be providing meals and water and hygiene for people experiencing unsheltered homelessness. There is a list on the ACH website of items that they're looking for donations of to be able to support those efforts. So if you are looking for a way that you can help or share with your friends and family on ways they can help, that list is a great place to start. All right, I believe I'm handing off to Helen now for the ranked choice voting education. Oh, no, it's Owen. Ranked choice voting education presentation.
It is me, and I did not send my slides to Emily, so if I can get co-host capabilities, I can share my slideshow with folks. Welcome, everyone. It's nice to be with you virtually again. And to folks I haven't met, my name is Owen Hutchinson. I'm the Director of External Relations at the Anchorage Coalition to End Homelessness. And Helen and Sasha and myself have been working with Alaskans for Better Elections to distribute some information about the upcoming elections this fall. And ideally, we'd like to provide any resources that service providers might need to assist in getting folks that they serve registered to vote and able to participate meaningfully in decision-making that affects their daily lives. Oh, I have screen share capability. Yay. COVID has changed everything. This is not a new statement or a wild statement for folks. It's also changed voting. You know, we moved from dispersed polling locations and voting in person to primarily voting by mail. This poses unique challenges for people experiencing homelessness. While there are still some polling places available, oftentimes they were reduced or consolidated. For mail-in ballots, there was the requirement for a witness. People's housing status may have changed during COVID, and so their address was no longer current, or people lost identification. And this is something every provider or direct service person who have joined us today know that ID is a major issue for many things. In Alaska, though, you are allowed to register to vote with other forms of ID. The state of Alaska doesn't list tribal ID cards, and I can't confirm or deny whether tribal ID cards can be used to register to vote, but they will accept your hunting and fishing license, passport, a state ID card, or a birth certificate. And again, all of these forms of IDs are often hard to obtain or not in possession of people experiencing homelessness. There was also increased social stressors. You know, we saw our behavioral health system really pushed to the max, and oftentimes people experiencing homelessness having increased substance misuse or mental illnesses resulting from this overall kind of isolation and stress. Simultaneously, in the last couple of years, we've had contentious elections where election results were contested, and these big kind of national debate flashpoints were often played out or mirrored in local and municipal elections. which I think caused concern and changed patterns for all voters, not just people experiencing homelessness. And quickly, all of you know these stats. I'm putting them up here again because I think it does play out specifically in voting, which is that, you know, in the balance of state, we had 5,000, a little over 5,000 people experiencing homelessness access services. And in the Anchorage area, we had 10,500 deduplicated individuals accessing homeless services. And roughly 40% of those identifying as Indigenous, and 40% also self-reporting a disabling condition or being a mental health trust beneficiary. So we are seeing increased numbers that are not congruent with the overall population, percentages in population. For people with disabilities, it's about 18% in the general population. And for Indigenous Alaska Native folks, it's about 15%. So we see these disparities in who is experiencing homelessness, and that can play out in the polls. So ranked choice is, you know, touted to be a more equitable system. It's new to me. It's new to most of us who haven't voted in like Utah or Maine. And I think one of the great things about it is it does ensure that the winning candidate receives the majority of votes. Since 2002, in every single US Senate race, the winning candidate has not received a majority of votes. So this is something that happens frequently in Alaska. We also have a large number of voters who are undeclared or who identify as not having a party affiliation. And so ranked choice does allow for greater viability of third-party candidates. It also gives people more choices. And I think that's an important thing when considering folks who are unsheltered, that often choices are removed from them and they can really think through, you know, well, if it's not my first, who is my second? This does require maybe a greater level of engagement on the part of voters. And we want to ensure that it happens as equitably as possible and that people experiencing homelessness do feel like they can vote and understand what this new system is. So this is just a little bit about where else uses it. It's prevalent in 23 American cities. New York City uses it. Maine instituted it for statewide elections. 5 southern states use it for military or overseas. The Republican Party in Utah uses it for their nomination process, and then some other countries have it nationwide. And so that we're not reinventing the wheel, we're following a system that is used elsewhere, both by the government and other countries. So you will have 4 options after an open primary, also known as a nonpartisan primary. The top 4 candidates will move on to the general election, and you can rank the candidates in the order of your preference. Also, apologies to folks who've heard this information, who already understand it. This might be a repeat. I will share these slides with Emily, who can send them out to everyone. So you can review it, and there's also some links at the end for more information if you have questions. I'm not monitoring the chat to see if there's any questions in the chat. Oh, and I don't even know how to. If you have questions at the end of this presentation, please email me. I, like all of you, am still learning about this, and I will get the best answer I can, or I will connect you to somebody who can answer your question. I think there's a lot of nervousness around hypotheticals, and I'm not going to be able to answer all of those today. When ballots are counted, if a candidate gets 50%, we've got a winner. It's clear, and there's no need to go back through the ballots. If this is highly unlikely, especially based on just the special election that just occurred, where our lead candidate, Sarah Palin, only received, I believe, 28% of the vote. And in this case, folks who voted for the fourth highest candidate, those ballots will be taken out, and then their second vote will be entered in. And then they'll see if there's 50%. And that process will continue. So if again, there's not 50%, the third highest of first vote getters ballots will be taken out, and they will be looked again for their second highest vote. So that process continues until a candidate has majority of the votes. Voting is a racial justice issue. You know, in this recent election, we're hearing reports that 1 in 8 rural ballots were rejected, and that percentage is even higher in the Bethel-Kuskokwim region. It was something like 17%. There's some work going into determining why that is, and I think a lot of it is the fact that the special election was run by mail-in only, or primarily. There were a few polling places, but not many. And I do believe that in the general election this fall, polling places will be open. However, I cannot predict the future. And as things remain fluid, we do have to be prepared to vote in the way that we are able to, as prescribed by the state. A vote is a vote. People experiencing homelessness should vote. It's obviously not on the top of their minds when they are considering where to get food, where to get shelter. Is my camp safe? Are my belongings safe? How am I going to get around town today? Especially with decreased potential for decreased mobility. But ACH believes that everyone who wants to vote and is eligible to vote should be able to, and that service providers have a role in that. And service providers can register folks to vote, can assist people in checking their voter registration. These are all allowed. The idea is, though, that you're doing it kind of for everyone or offering it to everyone, either as an event at your agency or as a part of kind of your regular maybe case management or check-ins, like, hey, there's an election coming up. Are you registered to vote? Do you want to vote? Do you know if you're able to vote? Have you voted recently? And these are all questions that I think homeless service providers, it's like big picture stuff, right? I want to take care of their immediate needs first. But again, I believe that this is really important. And that's why we're sharing this info today. Questions to ask yourself. I was talking about this, I have been all week. And I think even for people who are in supportive environments, who are housed, who have their basic needs met, voting can seem confusing, especially with the changes with mail-in voting and the different options, and now a different voting system, ranked choice. So just kind of like being aware of the fact that if you have every resource available to you and you still don't understand it, that could be even more stressful or confusing to somebody who has a lot more going on in their life. And that in the end, the more options and ways that we can engage with people, the more meaningful connections we can make. I remember going with my parents and standing by their feet in the voting booth, and this is like ingrained in my memory. And I think there's a potential for bonding between providers and clients when you are offering them things that maybe other people haven't offered them, or having conversations with them which acknowledge their agency and dignity. So, my big ask is that when you're working with clients or you're in your office and you're thinking about how your client engagement is happening, that you're asking people experiencing homelessness if they are registered to vote. And if they say no, or I have no idea what you're talking about, you show them the voter registration form. I have it linked. Yes, Jessica, I will share the PowerPoint. And I am also able to train staff. Next slide. We're getting there, Jessica. If yes, there's also another website. I don't know why they're different, but they are, where you can check your voter registration. I think for mail-in ballots, a lot of folks might not have an up-to-date address in there, or they've moved communities. They've recently relocated to Anchorage, or they're just not living in the place that they were when they registered. And it's really important to have an accurate address on file. You can also talk about ranked choice, how it gives us more options. It also, one of the big things about ranked choice that people talk about is it becomes less like two people arguing or tearing each other down and really focusing on the issues. And thinking about like, how can we talk about the issues in a productive way rather than just there's one opponent or two opponents and I'm just going to do kind of character attacks on them to get more votes. And I think people are confused about how the ranked choice is going to work. I think it's maybe easier than people might think it is. And on Alaska for Better Elections, you can also participate in a mock election, which I encourage you all to do because you'll see how the votes are redistributed. And you can also look at a sample ballot. Sorry, I'm trying to monitor the chat. And then also like, hey, voting day is coming up. It's in a week. I know you're camping, but I heard that you might stay with your sister. Do you have a ride or will your job let you go vote? Jobs are supposed to let people go vote. I think people experiencing homelessness often get manipulated by employers or are worried about their employment status being jeopardized by going to vote. And of course, employers are maybe less willing when they say, I have to take a 2-hour bus ride. So really talking through what their voting plan is. As somebody who comes from domestic violence work, I'm a safety planner. I want to plan on paper, just even if it's a conversation that I'm writing down on paper and the client isn't, it's nice to talk through kind of how it might happen, what barriers might exist and just making it happen to assist them in feeling like they're prepared when the day comes. So it doesn't just fall to the bottom of their mind. And you can schedule a training for your agency with me. My contact info is at the bottom of this slide. I am happy to come in person. I'm happy to do it virtually. I am available to meet with your staff and talk with them and answer their questions. Alaskans for Better Elections is also willing to come and hold a mock election just with our group, not using the online tool so you can see it in person, how it happens. And then I just encourage you to talk amongst yourselves about voting. Like, what does that look like for me? What are my anxieties about it? The more that you're talking about it with each other, you realize that a lot of people have a hang up, right? Their candidate hasn't won for 10 years or whatever that hang up is. But it's really important to engage in having your voice be heard. And then there's some links to materials here. I'm not going to go over them. I'm not going to click on them, but once I share the slides, you can click on them. You can register online or you can print off a registration form and fill it out with a client. You can check your registration. There's a sample ballot, so people are not like voting and seeing a ranked choice ballot for the first time, but they're familiar with it already. And then there's also an informational video on YouTube, which has really pretty animations that make it look very friendly and inviting and not like the end of the world, which it is not. Please email me, please call me. I am happy to do my best to answer your questions. And if there are any right now, will field them with the caveat that this is also new to me.
Thank you, Owen. I don't see anything in the chat, but anyone who has any questions for Owen, please feel free to just unmute and ask the questions, or you can put them in chat if you don't want to speak out loud. I might have missed this, and it was the one thing I was really listening for at the very end here. How do we schedule the training session? Do we just email you?
Email me or call my work phone.
Okay.
And I will respond to you quickly and we will get it scheduled. Ideally, there's going to be another primary in August, and then simultaneous the special election general, and then the full general, where we're going to get a whole lot more candidates on the ballot. So if it can't happen this summer, I think everyone is feeling like the summer is going to be maybe a hard one for a lot of reasons, or they're just doing summer activities with their family and their kids are out of school and childcare is hard. I get that. But we would like to make sure that providers feel confident in providing voter education to people experiencing homelessness. And it is, equity is one of our 4 core values at ACH. And I really view this through the lens of how can we access people who historically have been silenced or left out of conversations that impact them, because our elected officials represent us, and they represent unsheltered people as well. And it's also a large 15,000 people is a lot of votes. So I would love for every unsheltered person who is eligible to vote to feel like they know how to.
Oh, and do you know if right now there are any plans for any kind of coordinated transportation or assistance with helping unsheltered individuals who will likely be in camps or continue to be unsheltered during these elections, helping them get their ballots submitted? This might be a loaded question, but is there any discussion about potentially ballot harvesting and having a centralized collection place that we can then submit them all together? Feel free to say you want to take that offline.
I don't know of any coordinated effort right now for transportation, or kind of like a sub-location where people can drop them off. I don't have that answer because I'm not aware of any. I feel like it's maybe a little early for those efforts to be in place. And given the state of homeless services in Anchorage right now, I think people feel really focused on the closure of the Sullivan and what's happening this summer leading up to the NAV Center opening. So I don't have a great answer for you, Jessica, except to say that it's something that happens at senior centers. It's something that happens at all sorts of places where people receive services. And I hope that I'd be happy to talk with other providers who are receiving training and implementing kind of like voter education as a part of their outreach or their services to maybe work together to figure out what that could look like.
And that is something that's allowable in Alaska, correct?
I believe it is.
Okay.
And I think, yeah, elections in the last 2 years have just been really fraught. Election monitoring has been fraught, voting has been fraught. And when we're thinking about people who already have significant stress in their life, we want to make it as easy for them as possible while still remaining within the law. So that's why I'm saying you got to do it for everyone. If you decide you're going to do it, at least ask the question. And then somebody can say, I don't want it, or I don't want to talk to you about that. And that's great too. But we just have to be really conscientious that this is something made available to everyone. I know I went faster than my allotted time. I didn't think I'd need 20 minutes for it because really this is a pitch to get me to come do trainings for you. And also, I think a lot of folks here maybe have heard a lot of this information, so I didn't want to go in too much detail today. Any other questions?
Well, I am not seeing anything, but
okay, I'm going to give my obligatory June sign off, which is it is Pride Month. If you have any LGBTQIA2S family members or friends, please reach out to them and tell them you care about them. Their lives experience a lot of hardships, And it's important to remind the people that are close to you that you care about them. And thank you so much for allowing me to present today, Jessica.
Oh, thank you so much, Owen. This was wonderful. And I feel like anytime there is change or something new, they say you have to hear it or repeat it 10 times before it becomes a habit. So I feel like the more times I hear about ranked choice voting and the way that it works, the more prepared I will be when it's time to finally fill out that ballot.
I will admit I didn't understand it till I made this presentation, and I've read every single article. I mean, I'm a news junkie, so I've read every single article about how it's going to work in every paper in Alaska. And until I kind of put it into a presentation format, teaching is a form of learning. So I really think this is a great opportunity for your staff as well.
Thanks. And I really appreciate the different methods that you share here too. You mentioned that teaching is a way of learning. I think it's important to recognize that some people are visual learners and would want to watch a video. Some people are tactile and they want that sample ballot to try it out themselves. And some people want someone to speak it to them.
Yeah, and I will also, if folks reach out to me for staff trainings, I'll also go over, what is allowable when somebody maybe has severe dyslexia or serious eyesight problems and can't read the form that they're filling out. And is it allowable for an outreach worker or a service provider to assist in the filling out of a voter registration form? And I'm happy to dive into the specifics of that. And also there are available resources if you are working with somebody who needs assistance reading versus auditory processing. Like, this is stuff that's really prevalent in the community that we serve. And so we have to make it accessible.
I thought of one more question, and technically you have 2 more minutes. Do you know, is there a place where we can access some of these materials in different languages?
The state of Alaska actually has a lot of these materials in different languages. And the National Association to End Homelessness, NAEH, developed a whole toolkit around the presidential election that is available in like so many languages. In Alaska, we kind of have these primary languages that are often requested: Tagalog, Spanish, I don't know, there's a bunch of them. And I think Alaska Literacy Project has available translators and translating books to help with people also doing voter education. So for folks who want resources in other languages, or agencies who reach out for like a provider training, I will provide those then.
Thank you so much.
Owen, did ACPIRG do a bunch of translation work into Alaskan Indigenous languages around the 2020 general election?
That is a great question. And
I think the answer is yes. So
the answer should be yes if it is not, because in regions around Bethel and the coast, it is, for many people, their first language, and they're really their most fluent language and the language they're able to access. So yes, they should. And your answer is yes, they did, which is good news.
Well, I think that they did. I'm going to go ahead and put the ACPIRG website over here in the chat for anybody who wants to explore that, since I'm getting ready to get on a plane. But I think that it is especially relevant given some of the stats that you were throwing out earlier about the percentage of Indigenous folks experiencing houselessness in our community right now. If we want to get out the vote, we want to do it in such a way that is accessible to every single person. And
we also have maybe potentially an unprecedented number of Indigenous candidates. We won't know what happens with the general election, like the full election in the fall, but it's exciting to see representation on the ballot.
Yes, it is. All right, well, thank you, Owen, so much. And for everyone, if you are interested in scheduling this training, For your agency and your staff, please reach out to Owen via his email or phone number that's listed on the slide. Moving to questions and comments from the chat box from the audience. Julia has a few that she put into the chat that I'm gonna go ahead and read for anyone who doesn't have access to it. She put a link to a survey put out by the Trevor Project, the 2022 National Survey on LGBTQ+ youth mental health. That link is there if you are interested in sharing that and potentially even responding to it yourself.
Jessica, gentle reminder that my pronoun is they. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Julia. Any other questions or comments from anyone? We didn't have anyone pre-registered today. And I see a hand. Let me pull up my list. Natasha. You should be able to unmute. Yes.
I have a question. I'm not sure if it was addressed in the information that Owen presented, but I know there was like the total number of homeless and then like how many were in Anchorage and then beyond Anchorage. And then there was like Alaska Native and mentally ill. Do we have a number for how many are listed as veterans?
Yes, and I'm scrolling to see if maybe Taria is still on. I do not have the dashboard pulled up right now, but she might know that number off the top of her head. On the ACH website, we have a dashboard that is updated every month with the current count, and you have the ability to do some filtering. Let me get in here really quick.
Hey, Jessica, I'm on. I also have to look it up, but it is on the Built for Zero website. You're correct. I'm trying to get there also.
You will probably beat me, so I will just put the, oh, there, Celia beat me to pasting the link. But Natasha, great question. And yes, actually, you know what? Celia, do you have, or Taria, do you have screen share privileges? Do you want to share your screen and just show it?
I don't think I have screen share privileges.
Let me pull it up.
Maybe Emily. Yeah. I have it up, but
Sorry,
yes.
yeah,
It's really easy to use.
It would probably be helpful if I stopped sharing my screen, huh? There you go. You should be able to share it now, Taria.
I think that's a user error is what I think. Celia, do you have it up so you can share your screen? Because mine is just not doing it. I've been having an issue with Zoom lately. I just want to say Teams is now my friend where it wasn't in the beginning. Oh, there we go.
There we go. So I'll let Celia explain it, but on the ACH website, there is a Built for Zero data dashboard. It's updated monthly. So I believe the most current month this information is May's now. Usually gets updated somewhere around the middle of the month with the prior month's numbers. But you can use the filters on there to drill down to the specific population you're looking for. So Natasha, if you're able to see the screen, you can see the chart there. But it looks like that at the end of May, the number of active veterans experiencing homelessness was 175.
Okay, thank you. I did want to just make one other comment really quick. I saw on the Facebook page that there's events listed out all the way through November. The November event for this meeting is scheduled to be on Thanksgiving Day. And I didn't know who to message about that, but I'm assuming we're not meeting on Thanksgiving. Is that correct?
That is correct. The November and December meetings, we'll get that updated on the Facebook page, but the November and December meetings are rescheduled because of the holidays. And so those are actually held on the third Thursday of the month. I hope I was right on that. I believe it is. I think it's the week before that we hold them, but we will get those event dates updated on the Facebook page.
Thank you.
Hey, Jessica, it's Julia. For the life of me, I don't remember what else is on the agenda, so I don't want to derail us.
Oh, no. So the only other thing is good news and community events.
Great. So I just wanted to ask a quick question before we go into good news and community events. And I know you already talked earlier about the process for folks to apply to sit on the advisory council. I was wondering if you could outline, because I'm not aware if there are particular things that would prevent people, if there are any specific things that would prevent people from being qualified to serve as a council member.
Yeah, let me pull it up here. I don't believe that there are any requirements except for potentially age, potentially being over the age of 18. Let me pull it up really quick here though. If Sid's still on, he may know faster than I can look it up. Let's see.
I think I do recall from an executive committee meeting that there was an age requirement of 18 plus, but I'm not sure if there's anything else that's prohibitive.
Let's take a look. Yeah, and I think the 18 age is a state because the advisory council is considered the board for the Anchorage continuum of care. So I believe that the age 18 comes from there. I do know that, let's see, there's a minimum. It doesn't say this in this document. I will research that and get back. I'll get back to everyone on that. I do know that we do specifically look for counselors with specific experience. So we're looking for people with lived experience. We are looking for people with experience in working in homeless prevention services. We look for veterans. We look for veterans that have experienced homelessness, people who have worked with veterans experiencing homelessness, people who are working in those roles or have that type of experience. And when you go through the application, there's some boxes where it asks you if you have certain lived experience or certain background that fit any of those qualifications as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Jessica. And sorry for putting you on the spot.
No, that's okay. I was frantically looking for it. It doesn't actually say in the document, but I remember that discussion as well. And I believe it's a state of Alaska requirement that board members have to be over the age of 18. All right, now we can move on to good news and celebrations. Man, I know it feels like there's not a lot of good news. I have one that I will share. I have to pull it up because it's actually Meg's good news to share, but she did have to hop off to address that wildfire. Too many windows open right now.
Well, I'll do a quick good news share. Our new programming for bridge housing is not fully stood up yet, but we are in a position to begin standing that up as soon as we've got enough staff to do it. So that's at Choosing Our Roots, and we're really excited to be able to do that. And it's focused specifically on some of the young people who have been waiting the longest to be stably housed, who may find shelter environments are not supportive of them as people of color, Indigenous folks, and trans and gender expansive people. So we're really excited about that, and more news to come on it when it's actually like up and running. And folks already have to be enrolled in our program in order to qualify for it. But I think that it still is a really excellent and exciting new program.
That is a super exciting one. So as I was looking this up, I realized I actually likely have two pieces of celebration / good news. The first one, which is technically Meg's, if you were on her presentation or on our meeting this morning and heard her presentation, she shared this statistic as well. But we really wanted to celebrate that over 320 people have been housed since July 2021. And that's not inclusive of individuals that are in transitional housing opportunities using housing stabilization funds. So I think that's a really exciting number to be able to highlight and share with the group. And I see Prince has his hand up.
Hi everyone, my name is Prince Wakudu. I'm the president of Revive Alaska Community Services. So it's been an awesome time, hearing everybody. The presentation was great, and I hope we'll be able to educate all our clients, so that they'll be able to express their own choice of candidates. But anyways, under good news and celebrations, this is my first time attending this meeting, and I'm glad I'm here. Revive Alaska has a major project going on, which some of you know, and that is called Comfort Homes. We are targeting to provide housing for veterans. Somebody actually asked a good question about how many veterans. What we have on our data is good, but Chantel seems to have more, those ones that don't report anywhere as homeless. But anyways, we have a place right now, Independence Drive. We have 4.3 acres. We are trying to put 7 fourplexes on that lot, and that will be about 28 units. Our plan is to break ground around September and finish the project before winter. So that would help at least house some of the veterans that right now do not have a place to go. And we are also including seniors. So it's going to be housing for seniors and veterans. The project is going to be transitional / permanent, in the sense that some will stay there for a long haul. Mostly if they are seniors and they're in a program and all the subsidized program. So it's a plan we have going on. So if you have any resources, any ideas, we are currently fundraising. We have the buildings. We actually got the buildings from JEBA. They were previously used as temporary barracks, so we are re-engineering them. And I see Manley there too. We are grateful that Rasmussen supplied us some, very good resource, because they had dealt with those buildings earlier. So we're using all that now to put together an engineering team that will reconfigure those fourplexes from JEBA to match the Title 21 code within the city. So it's an ongoing project, and just track with us. If you have any resources, any ideas, any thoughts, we're open to receive those. And of course, grant money and donations, funding sources. So that's all I say. If you have any questions, I'm open to that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's amazing to hear a little bit more about your projects and what you have going on. We did link in the chat a link to your website. I really enjoyed hearing from you over the past few months and having some wonderful conversations. If anyone has any questions for Prince, feel free to unmute and ask them, or in the chat. Oh, I see Roger has his hand up.
Yeah, I had my hand up. I do want to recognize Prince Roncondu, and I've been up to a couple of their events, and it really does look exciting. So I'm really happy to see him at this meeting. Welcome, and we really look forward to collaboration down the road. I also had my hand up for another celebration. You're welcome. I also had my hand up for another celebration that's happening this week, and that is Covenant House's micro housing is coming online in this coming week, and that's actually something that we can celebrate, that our youth are getting help now. Just our seniors and veterans will be taking care of a big chunk of our homeless.
That is great news. That reminded me that there is other celebration in the opening of the complex care facility, formerly the Sockeye Inn, and that is a very exciting opening and expansion for the Anchorage Homeless Prevention and Response System and for CSS. And Holly in the chat shared some ICA good news. Oh, this is amazing news, that HMIS trainings will begin transitioning into a self-paced e-learning platform starting July 1 for approved HMIS users early. That great news, and huge kudos to the ICA training team that has been working on that and getting that rolled out. Yes, thank you, Julia, for the reminder. The ribbon cutting for the Covenant House micro units, the Covey Lofts, is tomorrow. All right, as we wrap up, a question for you, Prince, from Natasha in the chat. She is wondering, does the Revive Alaska program require participation in Christian religious services similar to the rescue mission?
No, it doesn't. It's not even a shelter. It's an independent living style housing. Did you hear? Hello?
Yep, Natasha, were you able to catch that?
Okay, let me say it again.
Yes,
It does not
thank you for clarifying.
Okay, it doesn't.
Thank you so much for that. All right, the next slide is some advocacy opportunities to be able to share with the group here. If you are looking for some opportunities in the next month for advocacy, the HAND Commission, the Housing, Homelessness, and Neighborhood Development Commission, meets on the first Wednesday of every month. There are 2 regularly scheduled assembly meetings, one on July 12th, one on July 26th, and those are at the LUSAC Library from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. The Assembly's Housing and Homelessness Committee meets monthly on the 3rd Wednesday. And our next Advisory Council meeting is July 28th. I am so excited to see the new faces. I really look forward to seeing everyone again next month.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.